Today I'm going to show you how to make any build with any class, with any exotic PvP or PvE from scratch. We're going to talk build theory, what makes a great build, and walk you through every step I take when creating the perfect build. In the background, you'll be seeing footage of me putting a build together. If you'd like a deeper dive on how D2 Armor Picker works, click the card above. Otherwise, let's begin. So before you begin with your build, you're gonna have to ask yourself 3 simple questions. Question 1, what guardian are you trying to build around? Question 2, what's your goal? PvP, PvE, survive, movement? Are you trying to be aggressive? Are you trying to stay back? Question 3, do you have an exotic in mind, armor or weapon? Now, after answering these simple questions, we can now create your build. So, the next step after you've answered those 3 questions is Synergize. Pick a subclass that synergizes with your goal and your exotic. So, in the background, you guys see that I picked the Mask of Bacchus, and this is a PvP oriented goal that I picked. So as you guys can see on D2 Armor Picker, I went with about 60 resilience, which is the minimum that you want in PvP. Otherwise, if you're at 50 and under, you're going to be getting 1 or 2 tapped pretty easily. Now, as you guys can see, I'm at 100 mobility because as a hunter, your mobility is tied to your dodge, and the Mask of Bacchus is a dodge exotic. Now, recovery is at 80 minimum, right? Goal 100, okay? So as I keep on going through here, you can play with all of the stats and all the numbers and all the things that you can plug in to D2 Armor Picker. Like I said, there's that whole video that I've done explaining it. But again, once you find your goal, right, then you're going to open it in D2 Armor Picker. Once you've opened it in D2 Armor Picker, you're going to name it and save it. Now, as you guys can see in the background footage here, I actually had one of the settings set to allow any armor, including blue, which of course there's those high stat blue armor pieces for hunters that we all know about for the mobility, resilience, and recovery, which is the only way I was able to get 100 recovery, 100 mobility, and 60 resilience. But as you'll see in the background footage, I do adjust that so that I can get a purple arm piece. However, I could have stuck with the blue and had 100 recovery instead of 80 recovery. But it's okay. I went to the 80 recovery, kept 100 mobility, and 60 resilience, as you guys can see. The main point is we want to get that dodge back as fast as possible, including running utility Kickstarter on my cape and the new seasonal artifact mods, where when I deal damage with my melee, I get class ability back, which that's perfect for this build with the stasis melee, which is a long range melee ability. And now you guys see me, I have unclicked that, so now we're gonna have a purple arm piece instead of the blue. But again, I'm sacrificing recovery, so if you really want that recovery high and you don't mind, again, I chose the purple arm piece because I could put in more mods. The blue one only allows you to put in 2. This purple allows you to put in 4, so I can definitely put in, you know, powerful friends, more striking light, you know, the artifact mod that gives me my class ability back when I deal damage with melee. But again, to go over your goals, if you're really going for survivability, you're going to definitely want around 100 resilience and 100 recovery at all costs. Which would, again, if you're looking for survivability, you might lean more towards a Warlock or a Titan, because their class ability is tied to recovery and resilience. So they can get, you know, 100 recovery and 100 resilience pretty easily. However, a hunter is going to have a lot harder of a time getting 100 mobility, which is their class ability, 100 resilience, and 100 recovery. It's almost impossible, but I've seen it done. But again, you know, definitely not without that blue armor piece. So always ask yourself what those goals are. If you're going for survivability, you're going to probably want to go on solar, right? Because they have healing grenades, they have cure, a lot of different ways to stay alive. But if you're going for mobility as your goal, well, you're going to probably want to, if you're a Titan, Dune Marchers, if you're a Hunter, you got Stompies, you want to get higher mobility, You want to get good at sliding. You might even want to use exotics that take advantage of sliding, or even if you're a Titan, you can rock that stasis ability that allows you to slide at a further distance. Again, synergizing with your goal. Is it movement? Maybe even movement. Again, I'd probably be rocking Arc with the amplified. It's very easy to get amplified, especially if you're a warlock and you just use getaway artist and you eat the grenade, then boom, you're running, and then you have that extra speed boost. But again, a lot of different options, but it depends on your goal. And what is that goal? For this goal, I wanted something stasis. I wanted something that revolved around the Bacchus. I wanted to use an arc weapon. I just picked basically my main ingredient. Don't judge me. I wanted to get 2 supers in the match, which I barely did, which if I include the footage, you'll see. But again, I wanted 60 resilience, 80 recovery, 100 mobility. I basically wanted to be able to blink and dodge and use the Bacchus ability every time I engage with someone. And pretty much I was able to do that. However, this was my first match of the day, and I just slapped this build together. So when I went into control, I didn't do the best, but I did get a positive KD and like 25 kills or something like that, 19, 25 kills. I don't remember. It's a long video, so... point is, I was able to put it together though and go test it out, which is what you're going to want to do next, is test your build out and see how it performs. If you don't like it, either you're missing something, or maybe it's not the build for you, or you haven't put enough time and effort in. Another big thing too that you really want to concentrate on is really reading the fine print on all the fragments and aspects that you choose for your subclass. Whether that's, if you're trying to, be sneaky and you're using Void for invis, right? You want to read the fine print. And then you also want to read the fine print of your exotic that you're using. If you're using a exotic weapon and an exotic armor piece, this is a great example for synergy, right? If you're using Void and you're going invisible as a hunter, you can use, let's say, Rat King, go invisible, and you can have a exotic that increases your invis or makes you more damage resistance while invis. It's all about synergy. Again, you have exotics for warlocks that increase your devour. You have a exotic for a warlock where when you pop a rift and it's an empowering rift, you get devour, which was really cool because your kill time is increased and you're healing instantly on every single kill. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. But again, what is your goal? Figure that out, figure out your exotic, then pick your subclass around it. Depending on if it's PvE or PvP, figure that out. Another great tip is ask the people that you're playing with. If you're going into PvE and you're doing a raid or a dungeon, ask your mates what they want you to rock. Maybe they want you to rock a well with the warlock. Maybe they need you to make everybody invisible, right? If you're in PvP and you're going into trials or just doing casual, ask your team what they want and what they can benefit from, and you'd be surprised what they'll tell you, and then you can build around that as well. If you're struggling finding what your goal is, ask your mates, and they will tell you, and you can then help them out. Even if it's team shooting, you can make a build around staying back, maybe pick a scout rifle, bow, and help them out with team shooting. Maybe pick a warlock and put on, the healing rift, right? Whatever the goals are of the team or yourself, you can build around that and use D2 Armor Picker, then go to Dim, and then open it up into your, game, and bada boom, bada bang, you got a build made. Now, I do say that you got to probably make your build look sexy. You got to spend a little bit of time making it look good. But once you do all those things, and you test it out in PvE and or PvP, you can decide whether it's a good build or not. And again, not every build is perfect. This build that I put together today, honestly, guys, I'd give it a B-. Maybe if I was being generous, a B. I think I could get used to it and a little bit better. But again, it wasn't very flashy. It wasn't the funnest build of all the builds I've made, but it was still very solid. I think Stasis is a great option on a Hunter. I love that I could probably get easy 2 supers, especially if I did a little bit better and captured a couple more zones and died a little bit less. I easily could have got that second super a little sooner. Now, speaking of supers, your goal for intellect, especially in PvP casual modes or even PvE, is about 30 to 50. You don't want to be going under 30, and you don't really want to be going over 50. However, if you're in trials, you can make the argument that you can push all the way to 100 intellect, right? Because it's really a game of seconds. But if, let's say that you're rocking a super build with a super exotic and you're picking fragments that increase your super, at that point, I would say that 60 to 80 is really a good number to shoot for. Anything over that, you're really just shaving off a couple of seconds. And like I say, in trials, that can, make or break your round. But a lot of times in, building into a super build, those extra couple of seconds aren't really going to make a difference, especially if you're capping zones, getting kills, and have a type of exotic that's going to be giving you super energy back, whether that's weapon or armor piece. So really the stats, the exotic, the subclass you pick, and the guardian you pick all matters, because it all goes down to your goal. There's a lot of people that will just throw some stuff together and do their best, and you know what? Their best is probably really good. But my argument is you can do so much better if you apply yourself to a lot of these things I've talked about today. Because let's say you're a very aggressive player, but you don't have the most aggressive build. If I was an aggressive player, right, I'd either be on the Titan with Arc or the Titan with Void with the Overshield, right? Arc obviously has the Juggernaut, and again, most Titans are running 100 resilience, high recovery, so my aggression would be a little bit better off on a Titan than it would be on a Hunter. Maybe even better than a Warlock as well. I can't tell you how many times I've misread exotics or their perks or the aspects or fragments, and went into testing thinking it's going to do one thing and then it doesn't. However, there's a lot of times where I think it's going to do something and it does the complete opposite. For example, sometimes the artifact mods for the seasonal artifact mods say combatants. However, sometimes there's been a couple of seasons where it actually meant PvP as well. As you guys know, combatants aren't supposed to mean PvP, but again, there's been past seasons where it did. So it's always good to test out your seasonal artifacts too, to see if the seasonal artifact mods well with your build for PvE or PvP. Again, most of these mods are going to work for PvE, so you want to really read carefully what they do and pick and choose very carefully. If you're really going to get into builds, you want to find very, very good rolled armor pieces and masterwork them. It only costs about 1 golf ball, but if you're going to do exotics, it's going to cost you 3 golf balls. And here's a little hint: you don't need to masterwork your exotic. You can actually get multiple rolls of exotics, and that's better than just having one exotic that's masterworked. If you have all your legendary masterworked, it's a lot easier to put in that 1 golf ball into multiple different leg pieces or chest pieces or arm pieces that are going to mix and match with different exotics that you play while you get the game. Now, again, if you do masterwork your exotics, more power to you. But again, I don't think you really need to, because again, there's going to be so many times that you use D2 Armor Picker where it's going to pick different exotics and different legendary armor pieces. Again, you always want to start with the D2 Armor Picker, pick all your selections from your goals and the things that you want with it, the subclass, the exotic, and then go from there, open it up in dim, and then apply that from dim, and then make it look good, add all the mods that you want, targeting mods, reloader mods, whatever the case is, utility Kickstarter mods, if it's all about your class ability, whatever it is, build into that synergy and go out there and have some fun. I hope you guys had a great time watching my video today. I put a lot of work in, so if you guys could take just a couple of seconds to hit the like button, sub button, that would mean a hell of a lot. I've been your host, WhiteKanye the Great, your real life super villain, and I'll see you in the next one. Charlie Way!